Mojtaba is reported to be testing President Trump's resolve, with US officials portrayed as reluctant to strike despite delays, suggesting Washington may be wary of escalating a confrontation. Iran has not yet responded to a US deal proposal, while Trump has held off on military action for the moment, indicating diplomacy or caution is currently prevailing over immediate force. Iran warned Israelis to flee certain areas, and in separate remarks President Trump reportedly called Prime Minister Netanyahu crazy, reflecting heated rhetoric and heightened tensions between the leaders. Iran is still reviewing the final text of a possible memorandum of understanding with the United States and has not yet sent a response, indicating deliberation or internal consultations before committing to terms. Mehr News reported Iran's position on June 2nd, according to Iran International, citing unnamed officials and providing details that suggest Tehran is weighing political, security, and legal implications before responding publicly. The source told Mehr News, and I quote, America's record of breaking commitments and historical mistrust have led Iran to take a very strict approach to the issue, unquote. Amid suspense, the US president said Hezbollah and Israel had agreed to halt hostilities, describing a temporary pause meant to prevent further escalation while de-escalation measures were implemented. The reported de-escalation came after the Israeli Prime Minister ordered strikes on Beirut on June 1st, a decision that had sharply raised regional tensions and prompted urgent diplomatic efforts. Israel warned it would resume attacks if Hezbollah continued strikes on Israeli cities, framing the pause as conditional and dependent on Hezbollah's behavior on the battlefield. Israeli officials also said military operations in southern Lebanon would continue as planned, indicating that the pause applied to cross-border exchanges while other operational objectives remained active. Details of the apparent pause were reported by Al Jazeera on June 2nd, citing sources close to the developments and diplomatic contacts involved in negotiating the halt. Meanwhile, Iran issued a stark warning to Israel against attacking Lebanon's capital, threatening severe consequences if such an assault went ahead. Even as Trump called for restraint, Iran raised the stakes with a direct warning aimed at Israel. The warning was addressed to residents of northern Israel as concerns grew over possible regional escalation. Iran's Qatar Al-Anbiya headquarters warned Israelis to leave northern areas if Beirut is targeted by Israeli strikes. Ali Abdullahi said, and I quote, "Given Israel's repeated violations of the ceasefire, if this threat is carried out, we warn residents of northern areas and military settlements in Israel to leave the area if they do not want to be harmed," unquote. The warning came after Israeli officials threatened military action against Beirut and its southern suburbs. Iran cautioned that any expansion of Israeli operations in Lebanon could lead to a much wider conflict. Reports suggest Trump and Netanyahu held a tense phone conversation as the Lebanon crisis continued to worsen. Trump reportedly urged restraint, warning that a strike on Beirut could undermine ongoing diplomatic efforts. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I had a conversation with Bibi Netanyahu today, asking him not to go into a major raid of Beirut, Lebanon. He turned his troops around. Thank you, Bibi. I also had a conversation with representatives of the leaders of Hezbollah, and they agreed to stop shooting at Israel and its soldiers. Likewise, Israel agreed to stop shooting at them. Let's see how long that lasts. Hopefully it will be for eternity," unquote. According to Axios, the discussion became heated as the two leaders clashed over Israel's approach to Lebanon. Axios reported that Trump sharply criticized Netanyahu and accused him of acting recklessly during the call. According to Axios, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "You're crazy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. I'm saving your Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this." Reports further claim that Trump stepped in to prevent a planned Israeli strike on Beirut. Trump later said both Israel and Hezbollah had agreed to stop firing and de-escalate tensions. But renewed exchanges of fire soon cast doubt on how long any ceasefire arrangement might last. Netanyahu said he made it clear to Trump that Israel would target Beirut if Hezbollah continued its attacks. The Israeli Prime Minister added that military operations in southern Lebanon would proceed as planned. Benjamin Netanyahu said, and I quote, "I spoke this evening with President Trump and told him that if Hezbollah does not stop firing at our cities and citizens, Israel will strike terrorist targets in Beirut. This position of ours remain unchanged. Concurrently, the IDF will continue to operate as planned in southern Lebanon." Unquote. Israel had earlier ordered strikes on targets in Beirut's southern suburbs in response to Hezbollah attacks. Meanwhile, Iran issued a fresh threat aimed at NATO, warning that any alliance involvement in the conflict would draw a direct and forceful response from Tehran and risk a wider regional confrontation. Brigadier General Asadi, Deputy Inspector at Khatam al-Anbiya Central HQ said, and I quote, "We have repeatedly stated that we have not yet revealed all our capabilities. We possess many options that we will utilize if necessary. America demands our total surrender, but the Iranian nation will never surrender. Since surrender is not an option, war is inevitable. We are prepared for it and have no issue with war. Therefore, even if NATO enters the conflict, we have no concerns." Unquote.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.